All right, going along with what we did on Friday, I wanted to talk a little bit more about historians at work, section 1.1. Okay. Our objectives here will be to discuss the importance of studying history, explaining why we divide the past into eras, and how maps, graphs, timelines, and other tools can help us in our study and understanding of history. Okay. So the first thing is why would we even study history? Why does it matter? Who cares what came? You may ask, who cares what came before? Okay. And so, what does it matter what happened, 500 years ago in Turkey? What does it matter what happened 2,000 years ago in Italy? Okay. Would we ever learn about the Roman Empire? Why would we learn about the Civil War or the American Revolution? What impact? What does that matter? Does that affect us today? Why do we even look back at the past? And I'll tell you, we look back at the past because it absolutely affects us today. I'll give you an example. I mean, the Roman Empire lasted for about 700 years. It pretty much died out about, I don't know, maybe about 600 years ago ish. And the thing is, the Roman Empire spoke Latin. That was the predominant language of the Roman Empire. And as they expanded and conquered different nations and people, they added their culture to their own, but they also shared and spread their language. And so today, you know, you may find that if you speak Spanish or you speak French or you speak Italian, a lot of those words are similar from language to language because that's a lasting impact of the Roman Empire and the spread of their language and culture. Okay. It's lasted through Europe all this time for 2,000 years. It's spread into the Americas, especially Central and Southern America with the Spanish language. That has an impact to us 2,000 years later. Okay? How do we make sense of it all? Right? Think of all of the people. There are 7 billion people in the world. Every day they get up and they do things. Okay, they're living their lives, and things happen. Wars happen. People live. People die. And how do we sort through all of that? Think of that. Every 7 billion people in the world, every single day, 365 days a year. Okay, how does that make sense for hundreds and thousands of years? How do we understand all that? We classify it into eras, kind of like, say, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. if we study if we study Germany, but the period where Adolf Hitler came to power into the period at the end of World War II, that's a very distinctive section of German history. Okay. The Civil War period in American history is a very distinctive uh, part of American history. Okay. The biggest eras of Texas history, that the way it kind of divided into it, just kind of there's kind of a beginning and an end, right? The people that lived here before, they were just living their lives, right? Comanche, Apache, the Kiowa nations, the Caddo nations, they were just living their lives before Europeans came. And then during the time that they were exploring, that was a distinctive period. During the time when Mexico ruled this land we call Texas was a distinctive period. When oil was discovered and the big oil boom, very distinctive period of Texas history. Okay. Um, Historians will present this information in a variety of different ways. And they use different tools to kind of help sort through and illustrate things about eras, places, and people and events. The first one is a graph. Okay, a graph is a very visual representation of information. And it kind of helps for people that are not able to necessarily visualize themselves the differences, comparing and contrasting of different groups or different peoples or whatnot. Okay, diagrams. This is kind of a weird example of one, but we'll talk about diagrams later. Tables. Okay, if you look down in the bottom left corner, you'll see a table, kind of put in comparison with bar graphs and line graphs. But a table, if you look at it, it's not necessarily visual. There's not pictures, but you can track the growth of the population of Texas pretty easily by comparing the numbers against each other through the decades. Okay, timelines are critical to understanding history because everything that we say, think, do, and feel today is influenced by and impacted by what happened to us the day before, yesterday, or last